Well, there was a movie with Jack Nicholson called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was kind of like that. He went to jail. He was going to act crazy, so he went to the institution instead of like actual prison. But then a nurse there was basically causing people to hurt themselves. He was so strict with them. You know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
So he was acting crazy?
Yeah, he was. This took place in the 50s or 40s, and he was sentenced to a hard labor prison camp. And to get out of it, sorta, he acted crazy to go to the institution instead.
He acted crazy, so it was a show. There
but
you go.
he was there, and he. It's kind of a weird movie. You do not know if he goes crazy or if he's acting crazy still. At what point is he crazy? Is he not crazy? And the ending, he gets a lobotomy at the end. And one of the other guys in the prison sees him there like a zombie. Can't even hold his head up. Got the 2 scars on his head. So he smothers him with a pillow. And that's it. Yeah, One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest.
It's sad because some of them really are like, truly do have disabilities, like truly do have intellectual disability. Like they really are a true case. Like they're not playing, they're not acting. They really do have problems. But then there's some that like could truly make it out and could live on their own, could make it with the support, but they choose not to because they choose to make bad decisions.
Well, this movie's famous because that's young Danny DeVito right there.
Yeah.
And that's Christopher Lloyd right there from Back to the Future and all those movies.
Gotcha.
So yeah, 2 of them, they were pretty young. And this actor back here, you don't know his name. He's been in a lot of movies, but yeah, that's the movie. I think the point is he was trying to be a friend to those guys and try to kind of give them a zest for life.
Right.
But he ends up the one getting lobotomized. Basically, he blames his nurse for one of the patients committing suicide. So he tries to go after her. And that's when they decided, cut him open. So, oh, that's, Chucky, the serial killer doll. That's the voice of Chucky right there. Brad Dourif. Yeah. And that's the guy who smothers him at the end, the big Indian guy. He says nothing throughout the whole movie, but he gives him a piece of bubble gum and he starts talking. He does not say a word the whole movie.
I think I've seen that movie.
Yeah, that year was won a picture for Best Picture of the Year. Yeah, there he is at the lobotomy right there. I said the big Indian guy smothers him with the pillow.
Yeah. They put like an ice pick up your nose and then jam it up and cut your nerve in your brain.
Well, in this movie here, they go through the brain. They cut a scar here and here and put 2 things in your head.
I think they used to go through the nose, like a big long. They use different instruments.
That sounds terrible.
They would have to break your bone and then.
Okay, it's just oof.
I mean, it's a movie that looks at mental health as an institution, how it was so wrong. You got this character, like I said, you don't know if he's crazy from the start. Is he acting crazy? At what point does he become crazy? Did he deserve what happened to him? It's just one of those movies.
Well, it's true that a lot of them went crazy after they got to the mental hospitals, not before.
He's sent there because he doesn't behave. He ain't acting crazy. Like a lot of people here, they're silent, they don't talk, they mumble, they just do this all day long.
Like they really are. Something's wrong with them, yeah.
He even tells that one doctor says, "I'm not crazy. I just don't follow rules."
Right, he's choosing not to.
Yeah.
So he needs to go to prison. To me, it sounds like he belongs more in prison versus a mental hospital.
Then that's the nurse there, Nurse Racket. If you ever hear somebody call somebody a Nurse Racket, that's who they're referring to. Because she was kind of diabolical. She was really strict with them.
Yeah, but that's kind of how you have to be.
See, in that scene there, he gives the Indian a piece of bubble gum and he starts talking. And he's sitting there waiting for electrolysis. He's going to get shocked in the head. Yeah, the Danny DeVito. It's a really good movie. It's kind of strange because it's not meant to be like we're happy, kind of go lucky movie. It's really a dark movie with some funny stuff in it. It's a real movie.
It's a real movie.
Laura, what are you doing?
Like I said, it won Best Picture of the Year award when it came out. So
I'm looking at something. Looking at those shoes.
She's got a piece of something down there. I don't want her to bite Emily's toe.
Oh yeah, please don't. I need it. Despite with them thinking we don't need that pinky toe, I need my pinky toe.
yeah, here it is. He got the scar across his head right there. What to do? What to do? See that little scar he had on his head?
Yep. Why is he killing?
Because he had a lobotomy done.
He don't want him to suffer?
What's what the Indian does after this? Interesting. Earlier they were talking about the soul being in a body and had to release the soul and all that. That's kind of why he smothers him here, kind of release him. I'm surprised you never heard of that movie before.
It seems like I've heard of the movie before.
Yeah, it shows how these people were just treated, and one guy just not really crazy, just acting crazy, and he kind of wants them to be free, kind of fight back, but they're crazy. They don't even try to fight back because they just want to sit down, eat crayons or whatever.
Yeah.
And these therapy sessions and all kinds of stuff. It just
See, ours don't even get therapy sessions like that.
Well, they can.
No,
Some of them
ours don't like that.
Not like that, but they get. There's some that get a therapy session like once a month.
Stay with him till the doctor arrives.
Not very many, but there's a couple of them like they'll get like therapy like once a month.
well, see, this guy here is deadly afraid of his mother for some reason. So anytime he acts bad, the nurse says, "I'm going to tell your mother," and this time he tells her, "I'm going to call your mother. I'm going to get her," and this is what happens. Nurse Racket. Oh, before I forget, another part of this movie is he was sentenced for like another 4 years. So he thinks he serves his time, gets out. They're like, no, you don't get out till we tell you get out. You've been committed to the mental institution now. He thought he could just serve his 4 years and be done with. And that's another part of the movie. They kept him there because he wouldn't behave. See a kind of maniacal kind of look on her face? That's why if you ever hear somebody call somebody a nurse racket, they're referring to just how stern and evil looking she is. Nurse Ratchet. She did it just to piss him off.
Back way, please, gentlemen.
Threatened to call the guy's mom who he's afraid of.
Let's go. Come on, you guys. What is this?
He brought a prostitute in.
Huh?
He brought a prostitute in. That's why he said he's gonna tell your mother. He has the keys to leave, he stole.
Hey, what the hell is that? What the hell are you doing?
Who's that guy?
That's Jack Nicholson. Oh, that guy, that's the orderly.
Who's he? A resident?
Yeah, no, that was the orderly. He's the resident, yeah. He stole the keys to get out. This girl's gonna give him a ride, but he's almost free. All you gotta do is climb out the window.
Take the damn chief with you.
What happened? What happened, everybody?
Let me through. Let me through.
Try to kill himself.
He did it. All because he was afraid that she was going to tell his mama what happened.
Get these people out of here.
But she did it just to piss him off.
Now calm down. The best thing we can do is go on with our daily routine.
But that's the question. Was he crazy when he did it? Or was he sane when he did it? That's the question.
That dude right there?
Yeah. At what point in the movie did he ever go crazy? At what point did he go crazy? You know, just a whole bunch of questions. But before they found out the answer, they gave him a lobotomy. Bada bing, bada boom. So what do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying about the nurse now.
I mean, it's not like a dark movie, like a horror movie. It's just a real movie of how people were treated, and this one nurse is just mean beyond the part she has to be mean.
She does act more than she should.
Yeah, she's like, you sit down. You know, instead of trying to treat them, sit down, behave, or we're going to give you a lobotomy. You know, there was no treatments, so to speak, worth a darn. You just behave or we'll cut your brain out.
Yeah,
It ain't much better. I mean, they don't give people lobotomies, but
Yeah.
they still don't really.
Yeah.
What they're supposed to be there for treatment, but what do they really treat them? How are they treating them?
They don't.
Well, some people are kind of like
Very
beyond
much
help at past a certain point, too.
So, some of them are, that's right. But, like, with our experience, like, it's hard because some of them, for like, okay, an example. So they'll have people in a cottage that,
Kind of explain what a cottage is for people who don't know.
so they'll have.
So you
people-
you have rooms that
You
people
have
stay
rooms,
in.
yes, and it'd have a kitchen, it'd have toilets and a shower,
So
for
they're-
like a
so-
bathroom for girls, and then for men or for women and men separated.
So these are people that can halfway take care of themselves, right?
Yes and no.
They just need.
Yes and
no.
no.
Not,
Yes
not
and
all
no.
the cottage. All cottages are different.
All cottages are different. That's
You
what
got
I said.
some
Yes and no.
cottages that are higher functioning.
Yeah, that's
You
what I'm
got
saying. Some people
That's-
are, like
that-
you said, functioning.
Yes
Yeah.
and no, but that's
Some
what I'm
are
trying to
lower
tell you.
functioning.
They don't
only-
have. They have a mixture. That's what I'm. That's what I'm saying. It's not set up right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, for example, you'll have like, okay, I can speak for my cottage. You have a mixture. I have everything from, okay, so my cottage, I have 2 people on there.
Okay,
One
two.
of them has a walker. One of them's in a wheelchair.
Okay.
Okay. Then I have people on there that walk and talk and do everything for themselves.
Okay.
Okay. And so we have some that are nonverbal and some that are verbal. Some that can't go to the bathroom and change themselves. We have some that do. I have some that are violent and some that are non-violent. I have some that can pick up a table and throw it, and pick up a chair and throw it, and I have some that can't. I have some that will beat up old people and some that won't. I have some that will never leave the cottage and can never live by themselves, and I have some that can. That's what I'm saying. It's a mixture.
They just throw them all together.
They just
Say,
throw
have
them all
fun,
together. You. That's what I'm saying. They don't. They, in my opinion, they don't categorize them in a way that you
Well,
would
they
think they would to benefit people that are going to leave one day.
They
Because they could put it in a way to where you could have people on a cottage that are gonna leave there one day versus ones that are not.
Maybe like
because
maybe a halfway
because
house
if you
kind of
have
system.
kind of like if because you have people that, and I'm not being mean, I'm just trying to describe people.
No, go
You
ahead.
have people that walk on their tippy toes and raise their hand up and go, "Whoa," walk
Yeah.
around, hit people, and ain't never gonna live by themselves. They can't. They can't. They just can't. They can't function outside. They have to. They wear a brief. They can't. They don't know when to take their medicine. They eat with their fingers. They just ain't gonna live outside without help. They just can't.
Yeah.
Then you have some that can. They can do everything on their own. Then you have some that can't even talk. So of course they're not gonna make it on outside their own. You know, you just have a mixture. But then they say that we're trying to help these people to become independent and live outside of their cottage and to make it to be independent adults. How, when you have all these people living together and some ain't and some will? Do they not understand that the ones that can make it on their own are being dragged down by the ones that ain't?
Yeah. Well, probably comes down to money.
Well, true, but you
Well, not always, but
have
sometimes.
several cottages out there. Why can't they come up with a system to where you have several cottages, to where you have ones you put the ones in these cottages that are going to be able to make it one day, and you have them in those cottages, and then you put ones in cottages that aren't going to make it out one day, and you have them in the same cottages with other people like them that aren't going to be able. Because we have people. I have one on my cottage that's been out there for 20 years.
Wow.
She ain't going to make it outside. If she ain't
Yeah,
in
at this
20
point,
years,
yeah.
she's 60 years, just turned 6 years old, and she's lived out there and she walks up and just randomly beats people and does stuff like that. She ain't going to make it outside of the cottage after 20 years. Why is she living in the cottage with people that can? Why some of them are there instead of prison?
Criminals!
A lot of them have records.
Yeah.
I got records too.
No, I ain't talking
Lock
about
'em
music
up.
records. I'm talking about.
Eddie's going to mental stuff.
I'm talking about assault and battery and sexual.
Some of them have sex crimes.
Sex crimes, yeah.
A lot of them have assault and battery.
Yep.
That's most of it. They're couple stabbings here and there.
Somebody told me once that if a psychiatrist heard some of my dad jokes, they would lock me up because they're so crazy.
Well, it's not always what you. Well, A lot of times it's not what you say, but it's like
What
if
you
you
do.
say and what you do. You know what I'm saying? Because there's been times I've say people you needed to get a butt whooping for for things they would, or they needed their what whooped. But there's a difference between saying somebody needed their butt whooped and then actually trying to do that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like
What you got in your mouth?
a lot of people say that, like they needed to have their butt whooped for doing that.
Yeah.
But they haven't actually said that and then took off trying to go do that. You know what I mean? There's a big difference in that.
Well, if they locked everybody up for that, 3/4 of the world would be in prison right now.
Right.
Everybody thinks.
Well, you have to try to make an effort to do that. To try to inflict that kind of pain. You can't just say it. You have to try to make an effort to do it, and that's a problem. A lot of these people didn't just say it; they made a conscious effort to try to do it. There's that's a difference.
Me, I'm too lazy.
Or maybe even like said they were going to do it and had a weapon on them that they could actually do it with. See, that's another thing that people don't realize. Because I actually had somebody ask me, well, just because I said it and I had a weapon on me to be able to do it doesn't mean I was going to do it. And I'm like, well, no, that's true. But, when you're sitting there telling somebody you're going to kill them I'm going to stab you to death and you actually have a knife on you and you've actually assaulted somebody before, well, people are going to think that you may do that, That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's when we have issues.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
They should don't do lobotomies anymore.
Huh?
Lobotomies?
Yeah, they don't do
They
that.
still do shock therapy though.
No. You used to, if you act too crazy, it's going to cut your brain out, basically.
Yeah.
Snip the nerves to where it cuts off the front hemisphere, whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, you're a zombie at that point. It's kind of like you're in diapers, you can't really feed yourself anymore. It's kind of like, what's the point?
Sometimes they don't do that part, but they use medicines too.
Yeah. Well, back in like 40s and 50s, they did that quite a bit.
Yeah, they did. Some
We had
of
to
it's
learn all about
abused.
it.
Did you?
Working at the state hospital, we had to learn about the history of mental hospitals.
Yeah. People had those 2 scars right there when he went in and snipped the nerve centers or whatever.
Was it Hollenbrook Mental Hospital?
Maybe.
Yeah. They had they used to do it where everybody had no clothes at all, and they were all in like a gymnasium, and they looked like they were Holocaust survivors, kind of. They didn't get toileted or nothing, and they would have like feces all over them and throw up all over them.
Yeah.
And they'd be like starving, and they would give them like food that was about to mold or was already molding, and then they would just be writing in their notes like, "Yep, this person died today." Don't know. They wouldn't even put their name on the.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even put their name of the person that died. It's like, "Yep, so this person just was found dead. We don't know." And then there'd be like murders that would happen.
Yeah.
Rapes that would happen. People get tortured. All sorts of stuff. Yeah. And back in the I think wouldn't they stop doing all that? It was one of the presidents. What was it? George W. Bush.
Maybe. One of them signed something in a law that said they couldn't do that no more.
Well, because their sister, it was one of the presidents. I remember.
Yeah.
Her sister was
heard about that story.
Put into a mental hospital, and then she was made to have a lobotomy, I think, and then she died, and then that president went to researching all these mental hospitals, and then they figured out like they're pretty much like prison camps. And then they said they had to put him into the what do you call him now?
Kennedy.
Yeah, it was Kennedy. John F. Kennedy is who it was. Yeah, his sister was in the hospital. Died from a lobotomy, I think.
It took her a while too. She lived Till 2005, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. She died at age 86, yeah.
And then
Yeah, she was taken away from the family and put away for a while. They had no idea what happened to her. She did go to visit them later in life, so she didn't really know her family growing up then. She went to Jefferson, Wisconsin, mental institution.
Yep. They're basically, they were like prison camps, basically. Overpopulated.
Man, that's just something, yeah.
A lot of suicides and stuff.
Well, back then, if you got locked away, you're just kind of, there.
Yeah.
You
and
didn't have-
they would put people there that really didn't even belong there too.
Yeah, it was just easier to put them there.
Yeah, like the types of people today that would just be like looked after by somebody would be in a mental hospital. Back then.